Welcome to the Edinburgh Fringe. You don't want a silent clown on the podcast, do you? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Ewan, Spence here, coming to you from the arts capital of the world, and just another slice of the Edinburgh Fringe for your ears. And the big news, certainly in the last 24 hours at the Fringe, is being eclipsed by the eclipse. Still, that was then, and now the bright lights are back in the sky and they're back on the stages, the hundreds of stages that are dotted around Edinburgh. From the largest venues to the tiniest street corners, there is art, performance, love, romance, comedy, tragedy, horror, and a man very slowly approaching a flip chart with a biography of Bruce Forsyth in the way. All of that and more can be discovered at the Fringe, and one of those discoveries is Darryl J, who is silent. Yes, the silent clown Darryl is bringing two shows to the Fringe this year. The first is Out of the Box in the afternoon, and the second is Tennish late at night. Both are clowning shows, the latter on learning the violin, at least as a starting point for exploration, and the former has a box full of family-friendly adventures ready to be opened by anyone in the audience. We've also got a chat box here in the podcast, so what can we pull out of there? How about making a performance feel like a Pixar movie, clowning around the world, and discussing what street performers can bring to the stage. I do remember a couple of weeks before the Fringe speaking to someone and going, I've got a couple of shows that might be good for your podcast, and them getting listed off, and then them saying, you don't want that one, it's a silent clown. Yeah, I'm having a silent clown on the podcast. That'll be fun. Bring on Darryl J. Hi, Darryl.
Hi. Hey, Ewan. How you doing, mate? You all right?
So that's more words than you do at the Fringe in your show, yes?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's
it. Magic destroyed. Everybody go home.
I mean, every now and then I do like to break the mime, especially when I'm playing to adults, because it's just another, it's another tool to be able to, especially when we're doing audience participatory stuff, and if we're having a lot of fun on stage and I've got a good relationship with who's on stage and they're getting something particularly wrong, if I'm asking them to sit and they don't get it, I could just be like, sit, and then and I cover my mouth and be like, oh no, and I can play the whole, you broke the mime. But but I try not to talk. As you'll find out today, I talk a lot, so the fact that I don't do it on stage is probably to everyone's relief.
So when your mum comes to see the show, it's like, I've never seen you quiet for so long, ever.
Well, they'd have to come see the show first, mate. They've never seen me do it, so.
Oh, is that your choice? Can you not perform it in front of family, or?
No, they just don't like, they're not theatre go. Yeah, they just don't like that kind of thing. So it's, we've got to. How deep do you want to go on this first question?
I don't think I want to go further down this alley. Actually, let's back up. Tell me why it is your parents haven't come to see you perform your life's work.
Yeah, there's a reason I'm a clown. Let's put it that way.
I'll go with the word family though, because you're doing two shows. One of them is family, and that's broadly where you started.
Yeah, so I kind of came from a circus background. So I used to be a flying trapeze catcher and sort of a high-skilled sort of juggler and stuff. I toured the world with a big show called Batman Live, the World Arena Tour. And we toured the UK, Europe, America, South America. And we was kind of like an ensemble performer as well as playing the character John Grayson. So that's kind of like my background, sort of high-skilled circusy stuff. And then kind of fell more and more into I did straight stand up for a while. I wasn't great, and I think I can safely say I was probably the only open micer at the stand up comedy world trying to get back to a sold out O2 arena.
Robin Grayson, for those of you who aren't familiar with their comic culture, Dick Grayson, Robin's dad.
Yeah,
I might have quickly Googled that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was going to say, because my follow-up question was going to be, how did Robin become the orphan?
Oh, you know, there is an old Muppet Show sketch with Robin and Sam the All-American Eagle, and I think there is a pun in there, but I'm not going to get to it in time.
Right. So the Joker basically cut their trapeze line, so they fell from the trapeze. So every day we had to do a slow motion fall to the ground death scene, which you can imagine as a flying trapeze artist is basically reliving your worst nightmare every day.
Makes you strong, Phil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're bringing this mix of clowning and theatre and comedy up to the Fringe, and you're doing the show arguably every 12 hours.
Yeah.
Madness.
Well, every 24 hours, wouldn't it be? If I'm doing
you're doing the show with one audience focus in the sort of lunchtime and another one with the audience focus that's different late at night.
Yeah, but they are two separate shows. So out the box is essentially I'm on stage. There's a box full of. I always like the thing of not knowing what's coming next. So because I came from an outdoor arts background originally, the thing you'd normally do is, hey, I've got a big thing that's going to happen at the end, and it kind of keeps people's attention to sort of the end, on the Royal Mile and stuff. And I, with all my wisdom, went, I'm going to have an anti-finale, and I'm going to throw a toothbrush into a cup on my head and make, rather than using a big dangerous chainsaw or something. So I kind of basically built a show that doesn't work well on the street, but then ironically does work quite well indoors. So the kind of idea is that all this, this box starts on stage, all this silliness comes out of it, and it's just absolute chaos by the end of the show. And then the new show, Tennish, is a show about tennis-ish. And the idea is, because that first show, you don't really know who I am, but people learn to like me or love me by the end. They kind of get on board. So I kind of wanted, with the new show, to set myself in a world where it was recognizable. And I used to play a bit of tennis as a kid, and I just thought it's quite a fun place to play, and it's basically, it starts as a tennis show and ends up as a rock and roll show. So there's lots of silliness and fun to be had in that. And the reason I'm kind of doing it later at night is so that then, I don't know, just get that different audience. Do you know what I mean? I love playing to raucous kids and family shows. It's absolutely brilliant. But I do the same material out of the box in comedy clubs and in cabaret or burlesque. Exactly the same routines. Obviously, it's just the way you interact with people is different. But it's just going to be, the way I've been describing it is, it's going to be a perfect pudding for people's day at the Fringe. Do you know what I mean? So whatever it is you've ingested, it's just going to be a laugh at the end of the day, basically. And it's just, it's just a bit of nonsense.
I mean, obviously there's a huge amount of skills that are the same across both audiences. But is there anything, apart from possibly language, that's clearly different dealing with those two audiences?
No, surprisingly not. But I think the weird thing is when I'm playing to a family audience, I'm not necessarily playing to the kids. I don't dumb it down for the children. And I think that's why, in a way, the work's been going quite as well as it has, is because I'm playing to the adults, and the kids, because it's bright and it's colourful, they can be there. It's a bit like a Pixar movie. Do you know what I mean? They've been designed so that a parent can watch them for 20, 30, 40, 50 times. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of similar in a way. It's, out the box is like the adult-friendly kid show, because really all the references, there's references to Rocky. The soundtrack is very much for people. Yeah, it's got a wide range of music and stuff in it. So in that sense, it's not too different, but there is something about the joy that kids have in the silliness. Do you know what I mean? There is, and when you break a kid and you just get a kid that just can't pick themselves up because they're just falling about laughing, it is delightful. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and similarly with grandparents as well. Do you know what I mean? So the grandparents that come out the show like, oh my goodness, like you remind me of an old variety performer. It's so great to see this kind of stuff again, but you're doing it in a really original way. The kids will come out like, oh my God, I want to throw tooth. They get photos of people like kids sticking plungers on their heads and like trying to throw toothbrushes into a cup on their heads as part of the bedtime routine. And and the kids come out going like, oh my God, I love seeing my dad up on stage. And it's really, yeah, it is very sweet. Um, and I guess with the adult one or the late night one, there's kind of a fine line because it depends how sort of drunk people are. But you can be more precise and you can be sort of smaller. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be quite so pantomime. But I mean, I'm quite minimal in my reactions. Anyway, I've got a bit of a Jack D face. Do you know what I mean? So those of you that can't see it.
The industry can be quite precious about its, I want to say performance spaces, but I don't mean by that, I mean stages. I mean sort of like silos of there's burlesque, there's stand-up, there's sketch, there's children's. And you're trying to fit into one more of those boxes than most people would like you to fit in.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's very interesting because I didn't, because at first it was a circus show. It was just supposed to be a circus show, and then and ironically, because I'm connecting with people, it's just been getting funnier and funnier. So I've kind of accidentally ended up in the comedy world. And then when it was just like, oh, let's try and do this indoors, and then it looks like it is for everyone, which of course it is, but it's that. Yeah, I think it is the hard thing. It's when people come and see it, they do struggle to describe it. And I've got this question I always ask people at the end of the show. Well, I've actually had to stop asking now, where I'd say, hey, it's better than it looks online, isn't it? And everyone's like, oh, it's so much better. I'm just like, I've spent so much money trying to make you think it looks all right. But yeah, so it is hard. It's one of those, yeah, my work's one of those things where it does sort of span across the boundaries. So it's like, it's not straight stand up. It's not, if you're coming just expecting to see a high skill circus show, you can be like, oh, where's your backflips? I'll be like, I'm 41, not anymore. And if you're expecting to see a theatre show, you'll be like, oh, well, where's all the, where's the dramaturgy and thing? It's like, but there's a bit of all of it. And I think being an ADHD sort of, for me, it's like the overarching thing is the clowning. The clown kind of is able to catch all of that stuff because there is art, a draw, there's magic, there's bits of mechanics, there's all sorts of stuff within it, but it kind of comes under that umbrella of clown. But we don't have that category yet. Do you know what I mean? So that's something, which hopefully at some point it will be that. But I totally, say with Underbelly, it's billed as children's, which I totally get because then it's really clear and obvious for families to know this is the thing. But like for myself, would I go and see an animated show? Like I love animation, but would I go see it on a Saturday at 11 o'clock when I know all the kids are going to be there? Probably not. I'll wait for a late night showing. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm trying to offer this year with the two separate shows. It's so that you can come and see if you've heard or what are curious about the work that I do. You don't have to risk coming to a family show and feeling out of place. You can come to the late night show and get involved, basically.
What about from the industry with that perspective as well? Because the Fringe, much as it is stage and performance and audience, it's also industry, promotion, getting work for the other 11 months of the year. Is it harder without having that nice, simple, this is a stand-up, this is a storytelling stand-up, this is a pun-based stand-up, this is Darryl?
Yeah. Like, I think without doubt it is harder, and it's something I do find when I'm touring. This year I had my first UK tour with the Mason Mark Making, and we had 30 dates. I think it was in spring. We've got another chunk coming up in the autumn, and yeah, it's a bit of a hard sell because I'm not a telly stand-up. No one knows who I am. It's when it's described as juggling, clowning, and audience participation, people go what. Like they hate the idea of those things, but then when they come and see it, they go, oh, wow, oh, it's so much better than we thought it was going to be. So I think it's going to be a slow burn. Do you know what I mean? But like the nice thing is that genuinely everyone that comes seems to have a really great time. I always say bye to folks out the front and I get really lovely things said. So it's just kind of like, so it's not one of those things where you see it and you go, oh, I have to go and see that. I think it is just going to be a slow word of mouth sort of thing. And yeah, I guess we'll kind of see where it goes. Fingers crossed I can keep making a living. But the other side of it is that I can get booked in the circus world. I can get booked in the theatre world. I can get booked in stand-up world. I can get booked in the family-friendly world. Do you know what I mean? So like where it's in any one of those worlds, and the cabaret and burlesque, any of those worlds where it's it's hard to define what I do, but that also enables me to be able to use exactly the same material in all of those different industries and to be able to make a living through all of them, which is great because I love the variety. Do you know what I mean? It's brilliant. Today or yesterday I was doing shows in Northern Ireland in a lovely theatre. At the weekend I'm doing them at a farmers festival down in Pentland for 2 days as part of an outreach thing. Monday I'll be playing the Pleasance Grand in London doing the Fast Fringe. Do you know what I mean? So for me, and the way I am, it's great just having to getting to, because the thing is, the more different people and the more different stages you're on, you just get so much more information, and the thing is with clowning is there is a conversation. Do you know what I mean? And I always have the house lights up a little bit so that I can sort of see all the way through the show who's wanting to play, who's engaged. And it always makes me giggle when people come out and they're like, "Oh my, thank you so much for not picking me." And I'm like, "You didn't make eye contact with me once." Like you literally, like I don't. And for me, it's like all of my audience participate, because I know there's probably lots of folks at home going, "Oh, I hate audience participation stuff." Yeah, I hate it too. This is the thing. I hate it when it's done badly. It is the worst thing ever, and it's so uncomfortable when you see someone that's just not being held or looked after. But my sort of skill or talent has been to create routines that have consent. So like every time I ask someone to come on stage, there's a consent module. So I might do a really bad caricature of you out of chalk on my box. And when I ask you to come up, if you're like, "Oh no, I don't want to," fine. I draw someone else. I find someone else. Do you know what I mean? And so there's always a relationship, do you want to come and play? Like, I'll give you a cup. Yes, I do. No, I don't. So no one's being brought up onto stage against their will. And I've got in my head, there's like I want one child, three grandparents, 2 women, 2 dads. Do you know what I mean? That's for the out the box show. But if there's no men in the audience, then I'll do it with females. If there's no grandparents, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a set and fast thing. And it's always funny because people never want to sit in the front row because they're like, "Oh, I'm safe if I don't sit in the front row." And I'm like, if you fit the bill and you want to play, it doesn't matter where you're sat. And if you want to come and play, do you know what I mean? Which is quite sweet. And actually, a lot of the time, it's the people in the back by the end that are like, "Oh, we want to come up and be silly." Do you know what I mean? And it's all, and I don't put any of it online afterwards. Do you know what I mean? I don't clip it or record it. So it's not, it's special and in the moment. Do you know what I mean? And I think we create a nice environment and feel in the room that people feel safe and that they want to play. And that's then not taken out to then sort of, because I want you to leave the stage feeling like the star of the show. I don't want you to feel like you've been the butt of the joke. And yes, we'll do some silly things, but people are laughing with us rather than at them. Do you know what I mean?
So you've done street theatre before, street performance, and it does feel like a lot of that getting consent, getting confidence really quickly comes from street, because street's a much more brutal place to deal with an audience than in a theatre.
Yeah, it can be, but also it's also very forgiving because you don't have to be so precise sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Or there is a formula. What the street's really good for is it gets you used to rejection. Do you know what I mean? It gets you used to, you're trying to start a show, and if people don't trust you straight away, they're not going to build an edge, and they're not going to be an audience. And what you need is those first 10 people that stop and be with you. And I'm not a good raw busker. I couldn't go out to any city centre and just make a living just doing my show. Like my shows is what you'd kind of call is an arts and outdoor arts festival show. So it's kind of like the audience is free and they know that there's going to be stuff on and it's all sort of scheduled. And some of those might be busking, where we might be asking for the hat, but you're in a schedule and people know when you're kind of on. The nicest ones are in like Switzerland and stuff. When you start your show and there's just like 800 people just sat there politely waiting for you to do your thing. Like, so, and yes, but then that's the magical thing of the clown, is that those things happen, things will happen that you can allow to happen. Like, for example, one of my favourite things that's ever happened on the street was I've got a remote controller so that I can kind of control things if something's out of my control. So say if a pigeon lands in the middle of the show, I can use the remote control to try and get rid of the pigeon. Or if a bit of litter runs past, I can make it go away. And we were doing a charity group show with all the street performers on the West Parliament pitch. And one of the photographers said, "Oh, the flyover's going to happen at some point during the show." So Pete Dobbing, the MC, was just, "Oh, Darryl, come and try your thing." And I just got the remote control and like sort of panned it across the sky. So, "Oh, it's not working." So, "Oh, sorry." Second time, "Darryl, come do your thing, do your thing." Didn't work. I was like, "Oh, it was the batteries or whatever." Third time, and it was in time. So as the red arrows flew over, I was literally panning across the skyline, and it was just perfect. You know? So then everyone's just like cracking up. It's like, "How on earth did you do that?" And it saved it because in that moment, like that flyover, the audience, "Oh wow, what's that?" Oh, they're totally. If something happens that's out is more impressive or better or noisier or cooler than you are, then you're not gonna keep their attention. Which is why, transversely to that, why there is usually loud noises, chainsaws, bangs, cheers, whoops, all those things. So you're constantly trying to keep people's attention. But my thing is to I always want to be gentle and subtle, which doesn't really necessarily work outdoors. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
So the shows themselves, when are they on?
So Out of the Box is on at 1:20 every day, apart from the 18th, in the Wee Coo in George Square Gardens with Underbelly. And Tennish is at 10 p.m. in the Clover, which is Bristow Square, and that's Underbelly as well.
And we will have links direct into the ticket office, as always, back at our website, edinburghfringe.thepodcastcorner.com. We'll also have links there if you want to find more about you, Darryl, for people who aren't in Edinburgh or just looking for a little bit more. Where do I send them?
So you can go to my website, www.darryljcarrington.com, or I'm on Instagram at Darryl J Carrington. I do have a Facebook, but it's mainly just for the marketplace. I'm not really on there a lot.
Lovely. Darryl, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the Fringe when you're here.
Amazing. Thanks, Ewan. Take care, mate.
Darryl J there talking about his two shows. Tennish is at 10 p.m. at the Clover Underbelly, and Out of the Box at 1:20 in the afternoon at the Underbelly's Wee Coo. Both of those running through to August the 31st. As always, with anything online that has a box office to buy your tickets from, we will give you a direct link back into those. edinburghfringe.thepodcastcorner.com. And as always, no matter where you're finding the podcast, be it on the radio, be it in a podcast app, be it through the website, be it on YouTube even, we're multimodal here this year. Love it if you could, as always, on social media, link, like, love, share, and subscribe. All the usual. Help us lift us up in the search engines, help more people find us, and give us just a little bit of feedback in this digital world. But the Fringe is rather physical as well. So I'm going to head back out into the heat with just the one bright light in the sky to see how many more I can find on the streets of Auld Reekie. I'll bring some more to you tomorrow. But for now, ta-ra. Listening to the Edinburgh Fringe Show, hosted by Ewan Spence, produced by Spence Media for the Podcast Corner. Listen to more from the Fringe at edinburghfringe.thepodcastcorner.com.